I'm sure most of us know the journal Nature. She wants to publish in Nature. So, which means right from beginning, she started dreaming of the kind of research she work on that will be acceptable in Nature. Next slide. Okay, so yes, the type of manuscripts. What are the different types of manuscripts we know of? Original article. It can be an original article that you intend to publish. Work that you have done yourself right from beginning. You thought of the research area, you thought of the problem, and you set up an experiment in that area to answer that research question. So, went to the lab, it might be something to do with the lab, it might be something to do with the field, it might be something to do with survey questionnaire, and it's a detailed research finding that you are coming up with results for the first time. That's what it means. It's a research original article. It can be a review, as I said. You're interested in a particular area. You summarize what has been done in that particular field. Several people have worked on a particular field, and you think, oh, it might also be a beginning of finding the gaps for you to work on as a researcher. You might also be looking at okay, thank you. Yeah, you might also be looking at a brief communication, the one we also call it short communication. Yes, short communication is something maybe you're doing a particular work. It's an extract from a larger story. You come across a very significant result that you felt, oh, this is too small for you to be an original article. But you felt that result is so important and so relevant that you want to pass the message across. You publish it as a short communication. They have their own layout, they have their own detail that you need to take note of. The words are usually between 1,000, less than 3,000 words. While original article is over 3,000 words in terms of original article. Then case studies or case reports. Yes, those in the medical field know this one. You come across a rare case, a rare disease that you're working on, the treatment method and all that. You want to share the knowledge with your colleagues, with other people outside on how to handle such. That is your case report. You describe the rare or in these cases. These are the common manuscripts you will see. These are the common. There are several other ones that are not so common like this. Next one is it can be an opinion paper in perspective of an author on the current issue or method of theory in that field. It can be a methodology paper. While you're working, or you decided while you're working, there's an existing method you're using for your own work, and it's no longer working for you. You design a method. You want to share it with people out there. Your methodology, you can publish it as a methodology paper, a commentary, looking critically on a recently published article. It can be an editorial. Most people have invited you to write an editorial in the journal. It can be a book review. Someone has just published a book or about to publish a book and they're being asked to review that book. So these are other manuscripts, but they are not commonly used. They are not as common as the first set we discussed. Next slide. Okay. Sorry, there's a slide I have missed. There's a slide. I don't know whether it's me that missed it or it's you. Yes. Why do you write manuscripts? Why? You need to know this. We all know it. But let's refresh our memory why we write manuscripts. We want to contribute to scholarly discourse, things that is happening there in my field. I want to also show somebody that, yes, me too, I'm working. I'm a researcher. I'm working in that field. So I'm contributing to a discourse, something that's already going. There's an aspect of things happening out there. So I want to contribute to it. I want to look at the existing knowledge of existing body of knowledge in that particular field. I also want to add to what is already there. So I'm contributing to it. I want to communicate my research outcome. You can imagine spending 1 year or 6 months. You just imagine what you spend in the lab. Then you finish that data, you package it, and you put it in your drawer. No, you don't want to do that. You want to communicate that rigorous work you have done. You want to let people see it. You want to communicate it. For other people to see, researchers like yourself, for them to pick from it. Next step, For scholars, for policy makers, you have done something in the field of immunization. There are policy makers in that area. You need to pass that message across. So that when they are doing their policy, they can take notes. Now they're giving them data to be able to take some decisions, which ordinarily they might know. But if there is no evidence-based data for them to decide that, yeah, this is what we're going to do next, is a problem. So you're giving them evidence-based data for them to be able to take decisions. So for policy makers, yes, scholarly visibility. How about me to idea there? I want people to see me that, yes, I'm listening. Corpus scholar will not notice if you're not published. Scopus will not notice you. Research data will not notice you. There's nothing to upload on your LinkedIn if you're not published. So that's one. Then the most important one, those of us in the academics who research. Abi, yes. Publish or perish. If you don't publish, no well. You can't advance your career. In fact, I think that name should be changed now. It's no longer publish or perish. Yeah. It's not publish very well or you perish. It's no longer publish or perish. But now publish very well. Because publish now, you look at whether it's reputable journal, you look at index, high index, and so many things for index. Is it a predatory journal? Those are all the things you look at. So it's not just publish. Publish very well. So I think we should change the word to publish and perish to publish very well and perish. So yes, that's the most important one to us. And then the last one, yes, the slide change itself. Well, I think I can ignore the last one. Let's move to the next slide. My next slide. Yes, build research. You need to build your own research skills. If you don't talk about what you are doing, you're not building yourself up. By talking about it, letting people know. You also use it to improve your manuscript writing. Don't just get it one day and it's the best. You need to improve on it, so you need to talk about it. Let people know, write about it. Okay. Sorry, what did I do? Okay. So yes, I had to jump back because we missed that slide, and I felt it's an important slide for us to share. So now we have got to the manuscript itself. What do you want to do? You want to write a manuscript. You see, for everything we do, like as I always tell my children and my students, I said, even if you want to go and cook jollof rice, please, you have to plan first. How do you want to cook that jollof rice? You have to plan. Planning is very important. You know what you have at home. You start putting water on fire and realize that, you know, you and your own jollof rice, you like to put in tomato, you don't have at home. And you're already put water and wash rice. Where do you start from? So you need to plan. So this is your pre-writing stage and your planning stage. What can you do? You first think about it. Choose the topic. It might be as in your research. Choose a topic. Think about this topic. Is it manageable? Is it significant? Does it make sense? Would I be reporting for the first time something new? Or will I be contributing to an existing knowledge in addition to what is already known? You need to ask yourself those questions, your research questions, your manageability, and your significance. And ask yourself, is it possible for me to even start in the first instance? Those are the things you look at. These are the things I tell students all the time. These days, maybe because there's data available online now, they are so lazy to do all of them. You can imagine a student who's supposed to write a proposal comes to me and said, what is the expected outcome? And I'm like, hey, why? See, you need to what is available now. You go to the library and take ladder and climb those archives with dust all over you. Then you gather like 10 or 15 books. Then you carry your pen and paper to now read. Then you jot. If you miss and you did not write down the reference when you jot from, you're trouble. Back to square one. But now, if you miss it, you just double. And it will pop up for you. But that time, I had to remove so many references because I was learning for the first time and I didn't know that I had to jot down my references from the archives in UI. Those who know UI, those where you climb the ladder to reach your books. And dust is all over the venue. You can't miss one reference, you're in trouble. Your supervisor will send you back. So, about it first now. Take your time, sit down about it. Know what you want to do. Important. This information you're going to gather here is going to help you when you're writing your manuscript. It's going to help you. And it's going to even help you to decide whether that manuscript you want to write makes sense or not. Most of us go to the lab and do research before start thinking of manuscript. Right? And then at times we realize that we did not do survey. I want to check, I want to publish phytochemical analysis of orange and have finished laboratory work. And I just go online and you see detailed results on that. What is the knowledge are you contributing? Yes, maybe some journals accept them these days, but that is not the right thing. You have not contributed anything new that somebody has not already done in your own vicinity, from your village, from where you collected things out before. If you collected it from another area, you can say, okay, because he collected from Sokoto, I collected from the River State, maybe something different will come out of it. From your community, so what is the point? So you need to do review. Sorry, I think it went off. Yes, somehow they have a way of. Okay, next one. Yeah, next. Thank you. Yeah, no, go back, please. Then after that, you need to do your clear study design. Give a clear study design, your methodology, your fit study, whichever one you want to do. If you're going to do survey, please sit down and design your question. Design it in a way that is going to answer your question. Don't go and write and put up a methodology. Most of the time, I've come across students who come with, I said, I want to see your methodology. How are you going to achieve this? I want to see it. Then, catch it for some time. They don't know what they want. Then when they go back, they went online and Google and they saw one bogus, lengthy, done in Harvard University, and they bring it for you. I said, this is the method I want to use. And I said, fine. How are you going to do this now? See my lab, see your lab. Now, tell me. Then they start looking at you. So ask yourself, which your methodology, is it achievable? Can you actually do it? There are several methods in our own level here. We know how we do our things. There are several methods that is not in Harvard, but we'll do it here and still give us the result. So go to the lab, find out first. If you have made up your mind, you have grants or you have money and you want to go abroad, hey, let the supervisor know that I intend to do this one over here. Then even if I'll be happy, because my student is going to publish, do a work in Harvard and put my name. Abi? Then ask yourself, obtain all the approvals that you need. Yes, there's one mistake. I also did that sometimes back. I did a study that has to do, and I did not get the correct ethical approval. That study was wasted because the journal was asking for my ethical approval. So you need to get all the necessary approvals. If it is the one animal study, if it is even priority, what do you call it? Consent form, informed consent form. You should get it before. Know that you will get it. Get it all together before you start. If not, you're wasting your time. Data collection. And another thing, if you do a pre-pilot study, test your material first to see the visibility of you being able to do work with that methodology. Data collection, how you're able to collect your data, how you're going to organize it, how you're going to analyze it. All this before you start, because all those things is going to be important by the time you start your manuscript writing. If you don't have all this information available when you sit to write, you realize that you're in trouble. In fact, most of the time you finish writing before you realize that you're in trouble. Before you start all over again. So, you're on your writing stage. You have done all the pre-stage, you have done all the necessary information you need to do on the writing stage. And the first thing you will want to look at is the component of a manuscript. A manuscript that you tell what are the components, what are the parts you need to take note of. Yes, the author's title and the title of the manuscript. Yes, I will not dwell much on this page. Let's go to the next page. Please, these are the standard structure. These are the standard structure. It depends on the type of manuscript you're writing. There are some manuscripts some journal that will tell you that they want results and discussion to be just one session. This is the standard one. Then in the short communication, there is a limit of some things that they will expect from you. You should take note of that. So it depends on the journal you are writing to, and that is the structure. But this is the general structure, the title, the authors with affiliation, the abstract, the introduction, methodology, result, discussion, conclusion, references, very important, and your appendices, if any. Now you have sat down, you're writing manuscripts. You have done your research. The thought you have in your mind when you're doing your research, it's okay, fine and good. But you're trying to, for something you're going to publish for people, you want the title to be concise and at the same time very informative. Don't give me a sentence as your title. It has to be your title. Very important that you can look at it at a glance and have an idea what is in your manuscript. The second thing you want to make sure that your title is descriptive enough. Is descriptive enough to capture all what is in your manuscript. Please, I highlighted those two, title and abstract. I'm going to discuss them later again. So that's why it's highlighted in yellow. Then you go to abstract. This one, abstract, happens to be the beginning, but it's always the last thing we write. And it's very important, but most of the time, we pay little attention to it. So I'm going to discuss it later. So your letter abstract, the abstract is a summary of what you have done, all those things, like 30 pages. All those 30-page manuscripts or 20-page manuscripts that you have written, you are expected to summarize it and put it in abstract. So you should know that as far as concerned is the most difficult part. Then your keywords is also immediately after your abstract. Very important. I'll discuss that in detail. Then when you have done that, the next structure, the next aspect you'll be looking at is your introduction. Your introduction has to do that thing you started, that's your idea that made you to even go to the lab or to the field to do that work. This is where you're going to tell us the history, the detail. That thing that made you, your research question, that made you to say, yes, so I want to do this work and I want to share it by writing a manuscript. This is where you're going to tell us the story. You're going to introduce your topic, you're going to tell us the background. What is the justification? What are the problems there? And what are the gaps we have identified? And it's at this point you're also going to do literature review, those information you are gathering. If there is a long time between the time you do that first literature review in your figure, because there might be new information that you are not aware of. Even if it is 3 or 6 months interval, please go back and do literature review again. Because new information will pop up that you are not aware of. You now publish your work and somebody will say, what have you published? Are you aware of this also publication for this also publication from so people? There's something we do. It's the same organization because we like to do our alone. Like most common almost anywhere, everybody wants to accept you hide what you're doing. Don't want your second to know. Meanwhile, you think you're the only one thinking, everybody is thinking. You're doing something, somebody in the next office, you're not aware. Maybe you started your own, but there's no right hand, no worker like me. And the person started his or her own late and then published. Then you now come and say, you have done something. What have you done? Somebody just tagged you and said, only in your office and done the same work. So please do literature again. Then at this point, you're going to systematically tell us what you have seen in that field. What has been done? What are the things that you think made you to want to do it? Additional information you are intending to add. Interrogate studies, you're interrogating your work. You're letting us know. You tell us the gap. What are the disagreements of some of those results have been published? I can say, yes, some person, but this one will not agree with this person's own. Me too, I don't agree with it. So therefore, there is this gap. Now here you speak all the grammar of what that thought you have. This is where you're going to speak all the grammar. Now present your research question. This is what I want to now do now. This is my question. Then the last one, you tell us this is what you want to do. What's protected now? Protected what? Objectives then about when you write objective, students tend to do write something without trying to read a little bit about what they want to do. It's the way you present your objectives. Some people present the objective and it's like a form of outcome. Then she will ask you again, please, what is outcome? And I said, reading your work, you presented it at the wrong session. You used the wrong language. Use the right language and tell me that this is to do. I want to do this in order to achieve this. So at this point, you move to the next point. Your research methodology. You see, that thing you wrote at the initial stage, that I said your key stage is important, but at this point too, you're going to do it. For example, achievable and realistic method is what you should put there. Somebody else should be able to go to the lab and say, yes, so person say you're done it. I want to confirm with his or her result. I should be able to reproduce what you have done and presented here. So saying that this one you need to be careful again and look at it was that at the first time that literature review you did before you start your work and say you're going to do this test and do this test and using this method. Yes, it's something that might be available then. The instrument, the equipment you need might be available then. But since you get to realize this for example, I was doing a research, a study, and I was working with plants. And the general purpose thing I'm supposed to use, they were all of them. Yeah, I've used it for a particular group of plants and they work perfectly. I had beautiful photomicrogram. Then when I decided to, I already written in my methodology, because I've used it before. So I already written in my methodology that that's what I was going to use. It's available. Then when I now got to the lab, I was staying and I was thinking, wow, I was not seeing anything. It was not giving me what I wanted. I tried all the general purpose thing and I was not getting anything. So I left the work for some time and I slept. But one day in the lab, I was just playing. There were specific stains on top of my bench in the lab. And while just walking around, I started using the specific stains one by one. And it became very beautiful. In fact, each time my supervisor saw that photo microscope, he asked me, what camera did you use? In fact, people have asked me, is it an electron microscope? I said, we don't get them here. It's not an electron microscope. It came very beautiful, very clear distance. So that my method have changed. Because that method I wrote before, if I put it, the person is going to get nonsense. So at this point, I should write what I have done. Yes, I have done something in a modified way. I have followed all this. Exactly. So that somebody else can do the same and my work will be reproducible. Then here you present your study design, your study population. Where do you want to do it? It depends on you. If you're collecting samples, where are you collecting them from? There's some journal that will request you to put your location, your latitude and longitude. Yes, my old professor said he doesn't like that. That this is people, which is they can go to their glass spots and pick what you have done, and they no longer need you again. So he's not comfortable with that, and I agree with him. What will request for it? If you want to journal, some information they request for. They want to see your voucher specimen number. When did you deposit it? What those information should be? Your sample size. They want to see your sample size. And please make sure it is realistic. Students of mine presented a proposal, and okay, I'll join this with the data analysis. And in the proposal, she presented how she's going to collect her data. You know, there are statistical analysis to determine what sample size you should use. please make sure you use the correct certificate and relevant support. Not those ones, people bogus, this thing. So, I let you look at some policies. I'm going to give you an example. The person intends to do chemistry, all the chemistry include PLC, HPLC, BCNS, animal studies, and in vitro studies too. There are other things that we want to remember, but this was the basic things. Then she used statistics to postulate, to come up with the sample size, and we calculated it. She was going to be working with 900 samples. You know, anyone did have her, but because she did not look at it that way, when she was presented, she was so happy. And this was some model to do it. And I'm going to replicate and about 10, I'm collecting 10 samples, I'm taking this cell. And I'm not, you know. And I said, okay, but I said 10 samples. She said yes. Times another duplicate. Then if I calculated the share between all of us, I remember the calculation. It was 900. And I had to you get that of how many billions so that we always perform. It's not realistic. Just go and pick one and put it there. Make sure it is relevant to yours. Data analysis, what technique you are going to use, what statistical method you are going to use. Please let it also be reflected in this session in your methodology. Yes, I'm still talking about tips. Sorry, I would have loved it if you can see the screen is not very clear. I tried to share some pictures of tables and graphs and slides on how you can present your results. But it's not very clear. But no problem, we'll still go ahead. Let's find this in an organized format. At this point, they're telling us all that plenty work you have done. Now you're presenting your results here. You tell us what you have done, the results you obtained. There are several ways you can present them. In table, in figure, in chart. Try as much as possible. Not try, don't present the same results in two different formats. Students tend to present a result in the table, it's already in the table. And then they will still have a graph. Because they want to fill their book to be less, to be voluminous. So they present it. It's wrong. Nobody's going to take that from you. So, yes, you want in the table one result just one result. It can be in a table, it can be figure, it can be graph, it can be a chart. But there's something I encourage students to do. There are some results I encourage you to present in figures and charts. It makes readability easier. At a glance, don't look at the chart and I say, oh, this is it. We are comparing something in a chart that I can look at a glance and I say, this is more than this or this is better than this. This is better than this at a glance. So that's what we got. Like if you're talking of demographic issues, we usually like to present that. That figure is so large enough that it cannot be presented in the chat. I prefer it. At a glance, you can tell what it is and what is not there. So when you present it in the table, you have to look and say, okay, this one goes like this. Then if you're giving comparative results, you are comparing as much as possible that the data you're comparing appears in one place. Somebody did a comparative study of 54 places. And then we have table 1 talking about type 1, table 2 in another case talking about type 2, table 3, and I say no. You're presenting your result for somebody to like it and think that you are not coming. It's a comparative result. Find a way to put it in one so that I can see which graph should be more than the other. So look at the things you need to learn when you're doing your manuscript. Those things are important. Highlight important results. At this point, avoid interpreting the results. Except there are some journals that will say the results are important. But most times, most journals like separate and it's not heavy. Don't put the result. This is what I got. Finish. You will not need the implication of that result when you get to your discussion session. Then now you are at your discussion session. There should be a balance between your scientific meaning and implication findings. There should be a balance between the two. Is at this point you're telling me the implication of your finding. That story you discussed in your introduction is here now. You'll be telling me, okay, that thing I said is actually true. After this my analysis, this my research question is correct. No, after this my analysis is not so. Negative result is a result. There's a lot of things to do. Somebody else will not have set up to start doing have the same research question with you because you have already provided the answer to that particular research question. The implication of your finding, the limitation. What were the problem you encounter while you were there? Yes, I'm expecting to get 100 people saying I like Coatel as my anti-malaria. At the end of the day, yes, because that's what is ready. At the end of the day, you got like 30 people. Why? What is this limitation? Why? You need to discuss it. What are the information you need to discuss? Suggest and propose. Because you're going to identify gap. Nobody will finish everything. You don't know everything. So while you're doing that, there's going to be gaps that you identify. Discuss those gaps too. In your discussion, propose for that study. Suggest. Then you now come to your conclusion. At this point, you're going to summarize everything you have done. Yes, it's not abstract. It's a summary of your basic findings. Just few words of your basic findings. That's what is going to be done. And then you can tell us, yes, by next study, I want to continue to do this from this point. Then look at this, your references. Cite all the sources you have used. Cite all of them. Please acknowledge. So use consistent citation format. This is why you need to also look at the back of your mind the journal you want to publish on when you are writing your manuscript. Because each journal has their different citation format. APA, there's NLA, there's AMA, several of them. You need to take note of that. There are tools that can help you for reference. As I told you, running our own time, undergraduate, you write everything out. You use it to enjoy. But there are tools that you can use. Many notes there. Some of them are free. There are some that you have to buy. But there are several of those tools that are free. You get them online. You can download them. And it will help you to do your referencing. And when you use these tools, it's very easy because when you don't publish in a particular journal, and you decided that you're going to another journal and they have different citation format, it's very easy. These tools will convert it for you. Now you have it manually. Unlike our own time, we do everything manually. Your appendices is not all journals that have this, but some journals will require you to have detailed survey data. Your supplementary material, your raw data, your survey tools. Then here are these points. Yes, I think I'm going to discuss title, abstract, and keywords again. On that top, front page of a manuscript, a published manuscript. So the first thing you see is the title, and you're going to see the author, you see the affiliation, you see the abstract, and you see the keywords. So most of the time, this is the point that a scholar or anybody see about your work. In fact, most of the time, the journal you're sending me to is at this point. Is at this point we reject or accept your manuscript for further processing. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is very important. Little thought usually goes into this. It determines whether or not the result of your study is relevant, is going to be seen by other readers. So if you don't pay attention to it, indexing, the keyword is used for indexing. So if I'm searching for information and you did not use the correct keywords, your important information that you have published will not come up for me to see and share and read about, for me to even know whether I'm going to go further with reading your manuscript. So this aspect is very important. So I always ask students, in fact, in UI, you can spend the whole how many months just working on abstract. You keep on going back and forth. This will review, this person will review, this person will review. And we said, no, it has not made the standard they expect. Yes, proofreading and editing. This is also very important. As you are doing your work, as you have done your manuscript, you don't know everything, you don't have all the grammar. So take breaks before reviewing. Leave the work first, go and sleep, play, leave it for some time. Then come back and carry it again. Read it again, read it aloud to be able to hear you reading some words. Have you typed something on your phone and then you realize you send it to someone and realize, this is not what I mean. Have you done that? So you need to read it. In fact, if you have a way, read it upside down. Send it for feedback. Ask your friends, your colleagues for review. Review feedback from colleagues. Give them to read for you. They will read it and check for you and edit it. And then you can also use professional editing service. They are available. You can also use that. Yes, I encourage students, before you publish any manuscript, try to present it in a seminar or conferences. You can even, if it's a seminar in your institute, in your department, in the office, let few people sit and critique the work. And then that way, you know that, okay, I need to brush up this side, I need to improve on this and all that. Then time management. Set realistic writing goal. Your time is important. Don't set it and include it, allocate time for revision. Yes, I'm submitting this manuscript for my next publication. Start early. Allocate time for it. Allocate time for revision. Don't take forever in writing. True, some of us. I have some things I started some years back that I have not finished. In fact, and I know I can't even finish it again because the data is already stale. You need to go back to the field to update that data. Another thing again, when you don't take forever in writing it, you're not the only one thinking, though. As you're thinking, every other person is thinking. So you are spent, the work you are spent, and you're happy. The only person, one day you just carry your laptop and BBB, and you see publication is there. And you're like, why did I do myself like this? You have wasted that time and effort. Submission timing, yes, somebody who's taking this will take note of this, the publication aspect. But the reason why I put it here is that if you are writing an academic manuscript and you want to submit it, please, it's not far from the journal too. You need to be looking at it because it's time management. You need to look at the journal when they accept manuscript, when they publish, to see if it will purpose. Checking aims and score, yes. I will jump some of these slides, but please ensure your work is a good fit. It reduces chances of desk rejection. I said most of the journals, with your manuscript, most of the time is rejected by the editorial. It doesn't even pass the desk review. So you need to make sure that it's good. Following submission guidelines. Formatting, very important. Yes, as I said, most of the time we have finished writing before we start reading the journal we want to send it to. Most of the time we have finished writing. So, and then we'll now start trying to follow the formatting, the manuscript structure. If you have written your results and discussion separately, you now have to combine the two because that's what the journal wants. Then your citations are, yes, thank God for tools that you can use to convert it. It is at this point you start converting it to their style. So it's good for you to know all this information before you start. It makes your job easier. It makes your work faster too. Peer review process. You also need to understand the review process of the journal too. It helps your work. For example, responding to feedback. They are going to send you back. Sorry, somebody is taking publication, but because this has to do with your manuscript, I'm addressing it. Responding to feedback. Address all comments thoughtfully. Highlight changes made in the manuscript. Yes, there was something I did at my early stage. You need to do literature review. You need to know what you have. That way can sound when you're talking. I sent a paper in LA as a young researcher for publication, and the reviewer sent the comment back. And I made a comment. There was a particular comment I did not agree with. He said, no. I now called my supervisor. I said, I do not agree with this comment. This changes is not right. So my supervisor said, well, if you're so sure of yourself, respond to the reviewer. It was during the era of posting, where you post, it takes 3 months to get there, get back to you. So in my own naive young researcher now, of course it paid me there, but it might not pay now. I sent the reply to the editor and I said, Thank you very much. I've done all my review. I highlighted everything. But however, this particular section, I do not agree with it because of so. Then the editor, Nigerian researcher, professors are sound. They did not agree with him. This one girl, he sent it to the reviewer, the professor who reviewed the manuscript. The professor in his own, I love research. I don't really care whether you're smuggling, so long as you're talking. The professor photocopied the reasoning and sent it back. Said, these are my reasons why I said you should make these changes. Because there was something I did when I started that work. It was not during the era where you have access to material. So I ordered for a book. It was a recently published book. It's not got, you can't see it online. So a colleague of mine was traveling, she found together and gave her to buy the book for me. So I have recent information and the professor did. So when I sent it back with photocopy of the page, to now, I photocopy my own page too and send it back to you. Send it to the editor. This thing, this one year, we're doing all this thing because it's postage. I sent it back to the editor. The editor sent it to the professor, the reviewer. And the reviewer, the professor, replied and said, yes, he has high valid argument. Her information is superior than mine. And that's how that paper was eventually published after back and forth. Now, I don't know whether you can get away with this. Because they might just throw your manuscript away and say, yeah, our is too much. Please put it on where there are so many manuscripts they are working with. But what am I telling you this information? Your paper, there's something that in this era of internet, this issue might not arise. Because what the lecturer, the reviewer needed to do there was just to Google that information and you would have seen it. It's just because it's not readily available. But almost all those things are available. So you can get that information. So this might not happen. But what I'm saying is that please take time. If you do not agree, look at it very well. And make sure you have concrete evidence for not agreeing. Yes, dealing with rejection, they reject us very well. Very well, they reject. In fact, some, they are telling the following day, they are sending rejection letter. Don't demoralize, sit up again. Use the feedback for improvement. Consider other journals. Then, sorry, next slide. So, answering again. So that I can finish within my 10 minutes. I hope I'll be. Okay, so additional tips. Ensure clarity. Don't use BB grammar. Please, don't use BB grammar. Use simple, straightforward that anybody can understand. Clear argumentation. Put evidence. Use active voice. Avoid jargons. Yes, use effective use of tables and figures. It makes your work easier. It makes your work appealing for someone to read. Like someone who presented her results and she has tables and the tables were just big, and I'm like, so mix them. Let some be in tables, figures, charts. It makes it appealing for those who want to read it. Proper labeling and caption. There is a way you label tables. There is a way you label figures. Learn that. Tables on top, figure down. Please take notes. Some journals, that's the only thing they will see. They will throw your work away. Yes, avoid plagiarism. Do proper paraphrasing. Credit the original ideas. Use quotation sparingly, don't overuse it. Follow formatting guidelines. Yes, I mentioned the tools that you can use. EndNote is there, Zotero is there, Mendeley is there. Some of them are free. You can download them online. Some are not free. You have to pay for them so you can learn more. Yes, the do's and don'ts. Maintain academic integrity. When you are writing, some of us would have what you have published already, we will publish it with another title. Same information. Please, let's avoid that. There is what we call academic. Yes, maybe in Nigeria, some of us get away with it, but it's a serious offense. People will go to jail for some of these offenses. Cite all sources. Whatever you cite, nobody says you should not use anybody. But please let us know that this is the person you have used the work. Cite it properly. Present original research, your work, what you have done. Don't go and pick somebody's result, pick this one, pick this one, join it together and publish it. Academic integrity is very important. Follow ethical guidelines. You want to do work back. There are some ethical guidelines. I want to use humans. Please collect all the ethical approval. There's somebody that will build it, the IRB, all those things, all the necessary approval, obtain it. If not, it's a wasted work, it's a wasted effort. Like the one I did. My own doesn't have to do with human being, but I needed to collect prior informed consent. I did it, but there was no evidence. It was verbal. Yes. So there should be an evidence to show that those people actually agree to participate in your study. Report data accurately. As you see and report them like that, even if it does not follow what you have in mind, tell us. It didn't follow. This is what I have in mind, but you did not follow. Report exactly the way you have find it. Don't copy people's work. Students, they will just go copy and paste verbatim. They draw for you. There is somebody who cannot even in class. We all know our students now. And when we talk, we know each other. When you're submitting an assignment and I read the first page and it was too perfect. I'll not go beyond. Na copy and paste. So don't do that. So we do our own. We also copy ourselves. We have published the work before. We will copy the same thing again in another work. We should avoid that. Avoiding copy other people's work without attribution. Do not republish your own work. I've seen it. I have come across it. Where somebody submitted documents and there were two publications there, and that publication is the same data published by two journalists, and the person has the courage to submit it. Fabricate or falsify data. Be careful. Don't say, oh, I have done 10 samples already. This work, it is giving me 10. I beg the remaining 20. Just close eye. Write 1, 10, 15. Is data. Do it. Don't falsify data. Ensure data reported is accurate and truthful. Do not submit same work simultaneously. That was the excuse the person gave. He said, hey, he submitted the one, he not answer them. He now submitted it to another journal. So two of them now publish it. Is that an excuse? It's stupid. It's not an excuse. You do not submit the same work simultaneously. If you submit one and they did not respond, you wait. You ask them, I'm withdrawing my paper. So today the document began withdrawing it before you send it to another journal. Avoid. It's my nephew that told me this one. Avoid salami. He said salami slicing. And I was like, what is salami slicing? I've done. He's not lab. He said, actually, you don't know. I said, I don't know. He said, when you enter lab, the people knows this. He said, they have one result. They will now break it, so that they can have 10 publication from it. Something that should be just one publication, you're looking at 5%. He said, that is salami slicing. And I was like, wow, okay. Hearing that, so I thought I was going to use the word here, salami slicing. Okay. Best practices. Most of the things here are related. AI. Artificial intelligence is really not. Yes. There are some journals that allow it. Please read the journal and see the role. But the most important thing is that we should use it responsibly. Use it responsibly. It can help you to improve on your work, to write better, to do, but don't let AI write a manuscript that you're going to submit. Please, you can use it. So some journals have rules regarding that. They also should disclose AI in this manuscript. Yeah, ethical consideration. Yes, AI too will give you some biases, so take note of that and ensure that the final manuscript reflects your own, what you have in mind. Complement. They said don't use it, use it to complement your work. And when in doubt, consult the journal policies on AI use it. Yes. Conclusion. Importance of ethics and integrity. Very, very important. When you write, you're learning what to write. Please, no matter how hard it is, try and maintain this first one. Ethics and integrity. Maintain it. Careful journal selection and adhere to guidance will also help you. Effective communication will enhance success. Don't use BB grammar. Writing is a skill that improves with practice. Stay persistent and open to learning. Finally, yes. Please, there's something I would like to leave. There's something you're going to learn today that is, I have known how to write manuscript, so I can now sit and start writing. Yes, you have the basics, you have the information you want to use. As I said, stop. Another thing you can do for yourself. My boss used to tell me that even if pure water has a manual, that I'll read it before I drink it. Read before you drink anything. If I carry anything, if I don't read the manual of the manufacturer of that thing, I'll not do it. There are books you can read. Now with internet, with AI, it's very easy. Go ahead and read about academic manuscript writing. So there's some materials provided here, but you don't even need to go along with my materials. Sit down with your phone. You can actually get some materials that will help you to improve on whatever we have learned here today. Able to write manuscript. And it's something you learn every day. It doesn't finish in one day. Yes, my final thought. Remember, you have to be persistent. You have to be very, very, very patient. And you have to be very, very dedicated. Because those are the key to the success of manuscript writing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you deserve another round of applause. Because you see, as the General Political Secretary said, she both shared the scholastic aspect and her experience. That is very key, because you are actually tapping into her experience of the years of academic writing she has been doing. So we are at the Q&A session. So we'll take some questions on site and we'll take some online. Then we'll call it a day with her presentation and we'll move to the second presenter who is patiently waiting for that time. So please indicate by showing specific questions on what she presented or what the thoughts you have on the issue. It can be a question or a comment. Let's start from the aisle on the right front here. Any question, disagreements? Okay. Okay, one. Just take the number one. Behind, any question there? None. Okay, this side two. Number two, number three, number four. Any other person? Okay, we have 4 people on site. Right? Anybody online that? Nobody. Okay, let me start with the first person. State your name.
Good morning, sirs. Good morning, Miles. Good morning, fellow colleagues. My name is Pharmacist Ibrahim. Now, I must commend our resource person, Dr. Jemilat, for the wonderful, fantastic presentation that he has given us. I think kudos now. Now, mine is just a basic question, and I call it two, but you know better. Now, when you talked about the component of a manuscript, the first thing I saw that you wrote for us to pay attention to was the title. And essentially that is with how to the conceptualization of the research topic. Now, I want to ask you, ma'am, if maybe you could give us more insight. How do we conceptualize a research topic? Because the truth is, for so many people, why some people tend to draw back on even doing a research topic is how do you even do the research? How do you get the concept of the research? How do you get the framework around which the topic is placed or is going to be put and things like that now? Thank you.
The next person, you will respond to the 4 at once. Number 2 is just make it precise.
Yes, mine is very good. Thank you very much, Doctor. The question I want to ask is that in paraphrasing and AI, like in other words, you don't want to avoid plagiarism, and you ask AI to paraphrase, and you still cite the reference. Is that acceptable? Not asking AI to do your manuscript for you, but just to change the language for you. That is, especially maybe like during literature review, you don't want to use the same word like the author. Ask AI to paraphrase and you cite the author in your reference. Is it acceptable?
All right, thank you very much, Professor. Okay, yes, you are getting there. Yes, I just Professor. God bless you. My question is also on this realism. Because of the accessibility to internet and access to, where will they increase the percentage of regards 30%? I think that's the need to increase it beyond 30%. Why? Because access to these materials on internet is increasing on daily basis. Thank you.
Question.
Thank you, Mark, for the wonderful presentation. My name is from Church. And my own concern is that we work in the hospital and we have a lot of activities we carry on there. And over there, we have a lot of researchable activities going around us. So, to be able to identify what to work on or to pick a particular topic to develop to work is like a challenge to us. I don't know, is there any way we can be identifying maybe people that are in the academic can be helping us to identify some of the work we think will be very valuable for us to embark on as we work in our premises, in our hospital. Then the second one again, Mark, you made mention of title and author affiliation. I did not really get it well. When it says you have to give reference to your affiliations. So please, that is well. And then another thing again, Mark, you see, you make it so easy when we attend this lecture. Is there how we can develop this kind of presentation in a notebook manner, which you can actually find very handy and be making it reference to them from time to time so that we will not be having it difficult to actually overcome this initial of research work. Thank you.
Before she responds, I'm sure the last one will share the material with all the participants so you can photocopy or print it out and bind it as your manual. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. Yes, I'll take it from the first one. Components, the title, conceptualization. I want me to give one insight. How do you come about that? How do you come about to do so? Okay, I'm going to use my field as an example. So, as I'm picturing my field, also picture your own field. And I think your question is related to the question of the last speaker, where he said, how do we pick a topic? So, which means, so if two people is mentioning it, so if it's a problem, let me picture it. That is why I read a book when I was starting my field. I like to, before I do anything, I read it. I went to UI and I bought the book. It was written by Professor Laika, the former VC of UI. It was called academic thesis writing. And one of the things I learned from that book is that I'm sorry to use this word. You should make up your mind that you have the capacity to do a page. You don't have just it. I picked that. But another thing he said, for a field that you have spent years working on, say you know it more than the person that is coming to assess you. He said, you have spent 3 years working on one small focused topic. He said, there's no reviewer, there's no examiner that's coming to assess you that knows that thing more than you. He said, go with the confidence and you know it more. And that's it. It's your field. You know it more than any other. So, it's just because, as you said, you don't know what to think. So, at this point now, start thinking. You have an idea. You know it. Some things you think are insignificant. It is insignificant to you because it's something you work with every day. So, you are downgrading it. But to me, it's very significant because I'm opening my mouth. I'm like, how do something like this exist? So, let's ask your conceptualization. There was a time when I started in this field. How did I come across the first topic? I was in charge of a particular our institute as a young researcher. And each time they bring specimen, they will bring this, they will bring that. I used to crack my brain and go to Badon and having a lot of problem. Trying to solve that. To somebody, why? What is the big deal in identification? But that was where the first research question came. Most of the thing I have gained, I have earned, was solving that particular thing that was dealing with it. I decided to pick it as a challenge because I wanted to solve it. There's something that is happening around you, just that you're not paying attention. So that was the first research question. I said, this problem, even if I cannot solve it, I must reduce it to. That is the first thing I said. When I submitted a grant proposal on it, the institute called for a grant. And everybody was like, no, there is not disease now. Nobody is going to accept this one. Professor Kogo, me, and I said, me, that's the only thing I want to do is field work. And I met all my senior colleagues, my other who were supposed to say, no. Professor Kogo said, Jemilat, and he said, submit it. It was not within the field of what the institute called for. I was the only one who submitted something in Thailand. Thank God it was not, the class was not from there. They were professors from outside. Independent professors. Let me tell you, I got the highest mark. And I thought that because by the time the reviewers saw it, they felt, wow, this is an entirely unique area. Let's give this girl this money to do this thing. There was another one that came up. I attended a training and they were discussing medicinal plants. The importance of it, medicinal value. And one day I said, there's one, this Abuja that I've been taking and we used to discuss it. I have a colleague who is and one day I said, there's this happening. They say Abuja people don't move building. Let us document. The way these places were, when they go to no longer village now. Let's see if you can document their information. So I discussed with some colleagues too. Some will say, you want to go and be surveying this thing. What is that one? They were going to also submit grants. The second call for grant, about 3 or 4 years later, after that first one. I said, no. I was asked, I told them, I said, me. I know if people say they are different from my own now. Your field is different from my field. It's the only thing I know how to do. I'm going to submit a proposal. So what I did was to read online. I gather books, I read, I see similar work. Okay, this is how this person did his work. And I put it together. And I submitted that. That proposal won grant. The best publication I have online to check is from that grant. When I said I have several work that I read, wrote, and I never had, this from that particular. Because the data was so large that we could not tell anything in mind. And they were so far because we were documenting everything. And their food and diet. And we got very great information that was not. That is where we got information on how they treat their mental illness patients. Probably that's one of the most affected populations. So why am I saying this story? You are in this field, you are working. You are a pharmacist. For example, everybody comes and says, this is co-attempt. I beg, if I is not working, I use them, you know they work. It's a research question. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be filled. People are coming, you are generating data from people coming to your pharmacy all the time. In fact, those of you who work in the medical field are lucky. Your data is there. It's just for you to bring out the data and maneuver it. You don't need consent. You don't need approval, consent, proper approval. You bring out the data and maneuver it. Do you understand? So it's a research question. It's what you do every day, what you come across. Then another most important thing is mentor, collaborate with people. Do you know something like this occurred to me? Those of us in research setting, we might have the knowledge. Sorry, I forgot to use my microphone. We might have some basic knowledge in the lab, but you have field knowledge. You deal with people. We don't have access to people the way you have. Collaborate. I have this data. How do you maneuver this data? The people in pharmacy are generating data every day. Mr. Degoke, you are generating data every day. People that comes to buy that. So those data can be turned into manuscripts. So it does for you, and then the most important thing you can also do. See, like with your phone, type in your field, publication your field, you will be surprised. Things are pop up. And from there, you can read them and identify gaps. Yes, you can identify gaps from those areas and then use that gap as your own stepping stone to start thinking of what I can do. That is your conceptualization. That's where you conceptualize your topic. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. Then to now be left, how do I go about doing it? When you started reading on how you're going to go about doing it, then other information will start popping up. These things now are easy. They are easy. In the area of biodiversity, there's so many things I'll think of, not like, and then I'll not realize, but this is a problem. Can we just fine-tune it? The thing is in your head, just because you don't know how to put it together. It's not like you don't have the idea. You have. So those ideas, with AI now, type it the way it is in your head. Put it there for you. It will fine-tune it for you. Put it the way the jargon is. Put it. If you don't understand, it call you back. My daughter said, after discussing with her, you say, I'll give you 100%. Need to go do like this. That's the era we are now. They know they bother themselves. They want to make Zobo. Somebody said, don't worry, I'll go online and check YouTube on how to make this. You don't need to teach it. So everything, it has been made easy. Mentor-mentee is important. Right? Paraphrasing AI. You said, yes, it is. As I said, this journal you want to publish in and their rule. It's not like, currently, it's not like there's anything anybody can do about AI. There is no rule that says don't use AI. And then, when, during our own time, when you pack books and read, this issue of copy and paste is not there. It's not there that time. Because you are reading 10 books at the same time. So you must paraphrase. You must take the important information you want and write it. So it's not because of the error of copy and paste from online. That's why we're having this issue. So it depends on the journal. Some journal might allow you just to paraphrase and then you reference side study where you have got. I don't think it's a problem, but I don't like talking categorically what I do not have knowledge about. So please check it further to be sure that's correct. Yes, the last one, picking a topic, we have discussed that one. Then affiliation, what I mean. Yes, in your manuscript, one of the important things that the journal asks is your name, the authors, who contributed to that manuscript. The affiliation means the addresses where they are working. So that's the affiliation I mean. So you list the addresses. So you contributed with 10 people and all of them cut across Nigeria, University of Lagos, all of them, my office, National Hospital, all of their names with their affiliation, their addresses will be listed on that manuscript. The last one, handy material, he has also said. But there's something I said here before that one. Whatever I gave you, the PowerPoint you're going to get, it's just tips. It's just in a summarized version. Most of the plenty grammar I've said today is not in that PowerPoint. But if you take your time and sit down and just go online, you will see very simplified write-up that will come out that will help you to improve on the PowerPoint that will be given to you. The detail you can see. AI can also help you to do that. And then it will help you to improve your writing skills. Thank you very much.
I think the online question just came, so maybe we just address it before we wrap up. It's saying if I could get a list of free Scopus index journals for pharmaceutical sciences. That's the question.
Okay, I think the person, let me not go into an area that's not meant for me. I think the publication aspect. But if not, I can still share some sources with you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Please, let's give her another round of applause. Okay, the comment? Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just want to make a comment about the asking AI to paraphrase an information from our original source, whether it's acceptable after you're now afterwards citing the original source. There are apps that are used to detect source things that are sourced from AI. So if you copy an information from an original source and you load it into AI to replace for you, and you now carry what AI has replaced and send it as your work. There are apps that can be used to, there are AI. So if they subject that work to AI detector and they see that, oh, it is AI that did this work, they will reject the work. That's the form of publication. So the idea about publication is to make it an original aspect to ensure that you yourself start down and put it down from your head.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we'll just do a short presentation to our resource person. This is an appreciation letter from us, but I will want the participants to note what we are asking. In summary, we are saying the entire executive committee and members of the above-named association wish to thank you for your acceptance to serve as a facilitator at this workshop. We hope to always have your support in subsequent programs where your expertise will be required, most especially in the interim, towards mentoring interested participants to attain basic proficiency in manuscript writing. Do accept the assurances of our highest regards. Thank you. So let's present.
Nobody has been with it. Snapshot. Nobody. Please, please. Thank you, man. God bless you. Yes, sir. We are very grateful, man. God bless you. Okay.